Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television on such an intriguing day of politics such as this. I'm Kayode Okikelu here in Lagos. But first, the big political stories at this hour. Well, the political skimmings and maneuvers continue in Rivers as the State Assembly lawmakers seem to ignore Governor Fubara's invitation to a meeting and instead continue with plenary. Governor Fubara himself is continuing with the projects unveiling in the state. And after months and weeks of speculations, political meetings, and jabs at President Tinubu and the APC, former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai has resigned from the ruling All Progressives Congress APC and has joined the Social Democratic Party, the SDP. I'll begin with that big story. Yes, no more speculations, no more rumors about the political standing of the former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai. He has now officially resigned his membership of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC, a party which he's a founding member of, and he's indicated his move now to join the Social Democratic Party, the SDP, and adopt it as a platform for what he calls as future political engagements and activities. Well, Mr. El-Rufai, in a statement which he personally signed moments ago, says that today, March the 10th, 2025, I have submitted a letter resigning my membership of the APC to my ward in Kaduna, effective immediately. Prior to this step, he said he had concluded consultations with his mentors, colleagues, and loyalists across the country about his future. Well, this may come as no surprise to many after his recent meetings with opposition figures and statements about the Bola Tinubu government, which had fueled speculations that he may just be on his way out of the APC. We can tell you that he was in Lagos yesterday, where he visited former presidential aspirant Pastor Tunde Bakare and former Osun State Governor Rauf Aregbesola. When he returned from Lagos yesterday, he also visited former Vice President Atiku Abubakar in company of former Governor of Adamawa State, Jibril Bindo. In a post on X, Mr. Atiku had teased by saying that they had robust discussions, but didn't say what those discussions were about at that time. But the cat has now been let out of the bag. In fact, he had also met with former President Muhammadu Buhari at his Kaduna residence on Friday. So there you see the former governor of Kaduna State and one of the founding members of the APC, Nasir El-Rufai, has resigned from the party. He's a founding member of the All Progressives Congress, and he says that he has fond memories of working with other compatriots to negotiate the merger of political parties that created the APC. But he said something quite pertinent. He said that it had been his hope that since 2013, that his personal values and that of the APC will continue to align up to the time he chooses to retire from politics. But he says that developments in the last 2 years have confirmed that there is no desire on the part of those who currently control and run the APC to acknowledge, much less address, the unhealthy situation of the party. So there you have it. It's been officially confirmed. Mr. El-Rufai is out of the APC and in the SDP. Well, this is a developing story, clearly. Big question is, what will this mean for the APC, particularly ahead of the 2027 presidential elections? Is it going to constitute a major threat to the party or not? Well, we'll give you more details as they unfold. But let's head over to Rivers State now, where we can confirm again that the members of the State Assembly may just be going ahead with their plenary for the day. That's instead of meeting with Governor Fubara, who had invited them. And that's judging from the order paper which was gotten by our correspondent. Governor Fubara had extended what appeared to be an olive branch to the State House of Assembly, setting the stage for a possible reconciliation. In the letter signed by the SSG, he had invited Speaker Martin Amewule and the lawmakers to what he called a crucial meeting at the Government House, which was scheduled for 10 a.m. today. That's just about 2 hours ago. According to that statement by the Secretary of the State Government, Tammy Danagogo, key issues on the agenda include securing a Parliament Assembly venue, addressing outstanding allowances, and laying the groundwork for the state budget. The governor in that statement said that this meeting is a step toward fulfilling his promise to implement the court's ruling in full. But this had come after the Supreme Court validated the status of the 27 lawmakers, clearing the way for what was termed or imagined would be renewed cooperation. But so far, it doesn't look like that meeting is happening. But let's head over to Port Harcourt, the River State capital, where our correspondent Charles Operum is standing by. Well, Charles, 2 hours after that meeting, or after that meeting was scheduled to hold, and clearly it's not happening at this point. So can you walk us through the events that unfolded up to this point, Charles, at the State Assembly and perhaps at the Government House or in the state generally?
Hi, good afternoon, Khalidi. Yes, I am at the River State House of Assembly. Plenary is ongoing inside as we speak. And indeed, just like you mentioned correctly, on the order paper for today, there were 3 items. Actually, there were 4 items. Indeed, a podium has been set up within the Assembly where they are expected to receive the chairman and the commissioners of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, but they are nowhere to be found. They're not around here at the moment. So we haven't gotten to that stage yet. But then 3 items on the order paper for today. Apparently, the House of Assembly have started the process of modifying the River State House of Assembly Powers and Privileges Bill 2025. This is a brand new bill that has just been moved on the floor of the House by the leader of the House, Honorable Major Jack. And then the second one is the River State Independent Electoral Commission Bill 2025, which is a bill for a law to repeal the existing River State Independent Electoral Commission Law number 2 of 2018 and reenact it. So they are in the process of modifying the reset law just now. And then finally, there's a bill for a law to repeal the River State Local Government Law number 5 of 2018, River State Local Government Amendment Law, and to reenact that particular law as a River State Local Government Law, which will make provisions rather for the establishment, structure, and functions of the local government councils in River State and other incidental matters. So it's ongoing here. The Assembly is now modifying the laws as we speak.
All right, our correspondent Charles Operum, I see you're trying to just find out who that is and what that may mean to all of this. But for our viewers on DSTV, we're heading over for a live coverage still in River State from Ozoba, Obiakwa local government area for the commissioning of Nyewali Palace of Akwa Kingdom, Ozoba. So that's a live coverage for our viewers on DSTV. Do stay with us.
Hear me?
Yes, Charles, over to you now. So speak to us. What exactly is playing out behind you right now?
Yes, exactly. Apparently, the commissioners from the River State Independent Electoral Commission, about 3 of them just walked in while I was talking. You may have seen them walking behind me. Yeah. The Sergeant at Arms just announced them, and the Speaker gave permission for them to be allowed into the hallowed chambers. So remember I said earlier, I had barely said that none of them was around, but while I was speaking, an SUV just drove up, and 3 of them alighted from the SUV. And so they are here to honor that 72-hour ultimatum, which was extended by the Assembly from last week's sitting. So interesting times ahead. In the next couple of minutes, we'll know what's going down.
Very interesting, Charles. So we understand, as you said, that officials from the River State Electoral Commission are now at the State Assembly. But that's just one. The other part is the budget, which they gave the governor an ultimatum, the back and forth about whether or not we received communication as to that effect and all of that. And then the invitation by the governor, which obviously they're not honoring. But do you know anything about the governor's schedule for today? Is it still possible that that meeting may hold today, looking at the governor's schedule and what is happening at the Assembly as we speak?
All right, one thing, I have to clarify this. When I walked into this building this morning, I had some informal conversations with some members of the assembly, and they all had the same thing to say, which is we have not seen any letter. They say that letter was posted on social media, but it was never sent to them. In fact, it's not even on the order paper. They didn't. It's not even listed for discussion. Basically, the speaker's principal secretary told me that they did not receive any letter from the secretary to the state government. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, you asked about the governor's itinerary for today. The governor is scheduled to commission the palace of the traditional ruler of Akpo Kingdom in Obiakpo local government area, and that's basically it. So the 10 a.m. Call time given in that letter for the meeting between the governor, the speaker, and members of the assembly has already passed. So apparently it's safe to say that that meeting is not happening this morning. If it will happen later today, well, time will tell. But as of this moment, it's safe to say that the meeting is definitely not happening right now. Cody.
Because a lot of people had said that this was maybe peace at last, peace in the making. Finally, the olive branch has been, extended and all of that. But with Rivers politics, you never know what to expect. But perhaps you can also speak to the mood in the city. This is something that Rivers people, yes, they may be familiar with it, but hey, doesn't mean that they're okay with it as this impasse continues. So maybe speak to us about the mood in Rivers State, particularly Port Harcourt, where you are in, and again, some of the other groups that have spoken about this. Does it look like their mood is favorable to, well, this happening, or they're still expecting some more escalation?
So I think it's mixed. Yesterday, I was at the expanded stakeholders meeting of the Rivers Ijaw People's Congress. And while I was there, the letter from the governor dropped, and a lot of people looked at it. So I tried to gauge the feeling there. And, some of them were then saying, oh, why now? Why does it have to be now? Why couldn't he have sent it earlier? When I asked about, is it that you guys don't want peace or something? Say, oh, yeah, we want peace, but we are suspicious of this letter from the governor. Okay. Then, of course, earlier today, Chief Tony Okocha, who's an APC chieftain in the state, has even called for the resignation of members of the River State House of Assembly if they do not impeach the governor within the next 48 hours. That press briefing happened just before we came here to the River State House of Assembly. And then the common man on the streets, some of them have a lot of sympathy for the governor, while some others are raising the question like, oh, please, we just want peace in the state. I think the basic response from anybody you see on the state is we want a cessation of hostilities and peace in our state.
Well, it's not too much to ask for, certainly, but we have to thank you so much, Charles Operum. Looks like it's going to be a very interesting day in Port Harcourt and across Rivers State. Thank you for the update, and please let us know as soon as you get updates on what exactly is playing out with the Rivers State Electoral Commission officials who are currently at the State Assembly. Thank you once again, Charles.
Thank you, Cody, and have a great day.
Well, our correspondent Charles Operum right there from Port Harcourt, right in front of the State Assembly where plenary is ongoing as we speak. We're still keeping tabs with one of the biggest political stories in Nigeria today. Former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai officially resigning from the ruling All Progressives Congress APC, a party which he's a founding member of, and joining Social Democratic Party, the SDP, but still staying in Rivers State as the political tension heats up. Some thought it was going to cool down, but it's a bit unclear right now. Well, the members of the Rivers Ijaw People's Congress have called for calm and a reduction in the rhetoric, particularly the harmful kind of rhetoric that has emerged following the Supreme Court's verdict on the situation. Speaking during an expanded stakeholders meeting in Port Harcourt, the state capital, some political stakeholders in the state of Ijaw ethnic stock called on the president of Ijaw National Congress and some others to tone down the rhetoric while simultaneously advising Governor Fubara to speedily obey the court's verdict and avoid further tensions in the state.
Attention of the Rivers Ijaw People Congress, RIPCO, has been drawn to several misguided and inflammatory statements recently made in both the print and electronic media. These statements threaten chaos and unrest in Rivers State, particularly in response to the Supreme Court judgment on the ongoing Rivers State crisis. While RIPCO ordinarily will not engage in public dispute over the opinions of other Ijaw people, we feel compelled to clarify some points and correct the misconception being propagated. However, it is deeply troubling that certain individuals, including Professor Benjamin Ogele Okaba, the president of the Ijaw National Congress, INC, among others, have resorted to threat of violence and destruction, including targeting vital oil and gas infrastructure in Rivers State and the Wada-Niger Delta region. These calls for violence are not only reckless, but are profoundly misguided. It is wanting to disagree with the judicial decision. Still, it is entirely different to resort destructive and unlawful actions that threaten the lives and livelihood of innocent people in the Niger Delta region and Nigeria as a whole.
Let's get more insight into what's playing out in Rivers State. We're joined by Honorable Gift Walu, who's a former Commissioner of Housing under Governor Fubara and Senior Lecturer at University of Port Harcourt. Welcome to Lunchtime Politics. Just get straight to it, really. Do you think this is a missed opportunity towards achieving peace? I'm talking about this meeting that was scheduled to hold, at least on the side of the governor, but clearly the members of the assembly aren't having it, or at least they're not attending that meeting. So is this a missed opportunity for you?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'll start by saying that we all probably now know the background to the issue in Rivers State, which culminated in the Supreme Court judgment that tried to settle a matter that had defied all other attempts. Now, you will agree with me that there was a quarrel, so to say, a disagreement between the Assembly and the executive arm of government. And it had so many dimensions to it. There was the issue of election, there was the issue of local government, there was the issue of defection, there was the issue of withholding of the allowances and salaries of legislators, and so on. And this matter went to court. While the matter was pending in court, several attempts were made to settle the matter, including the intervention by Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But those who were bent on destroying the structure that brought them to power, those who were bent on making sure that they listened to people who had very ulterior intentions around them, people who I can say today are the true enemies of Rivers State, because they did not support the current governor to become governor. They did not also support President Tinubu to become president. And having seen that they have lost out on both ends, they decided to deceive those who allowed them to deceive them. And so the Supreme Court judgment is clear and has spelled out in very plain language what should be done. As far as I'm concerned, and I believe this is the view of many Rivers people who have now come to agree that we should follow the Constitution in anything that we are doing, since we can no longer play politics and pander to political resolutions of things. Let's do what the Constitution says we should do, so that Rivers State can be in peace, so that there can be development in Rivers State. So inviting the Assembly members, if I were a member of the Assembly, or if I were the Speaker of the Assembly, I would not honor that invitation. That is one. The other one is that even the way, from what we're hearing, the way that that invitation came is inappropriate. We're talking about an independent arm of government. And the communication, the channel of communication between the Assembly and the Executive is that the governor writes the Speaker of the House of Assembly, and not through a proxy, not through his secretary. Another point here that from what we're hearing also is that the letter has not been properly served. It was through the social media that people are hearing that the governor wants to hold a meeting with the assembly members.
Right.
But on top of that is that today, Monday, when the governor said the assembly members should come at 10 o'clock, the governor also fixed a commissioning ceremony in Akpo Kingdom of Obiakpo local government area for 11 o'clock, meaning that he probably doesn't even want to hold any meeting with anybody.
Is 1 hour too short, Honorable Wallo? Is 1 hour too short for a meeting?
Yeah, I can tell you that, because if you look at, I don't know if you have seen the letter that is circulating. That letter has a number of items, issues to be discussed, and I doubt how 1 hour can be enough for those issues to be discussed. But what is more important is that where we are today, the ball is in the court of the governor. The Supreme Court has told him to do X, Y, Z. He has done some of the things that the Supreme Court asked him to do. He has refused to do others. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, the governor and his people are putting the judgment of the Supreme Court on trial a little further, because they have taken some of the issues that they are supposed to deduce from a Supreme Court judgment and deal with to court. And now that they have gone to court and they are doing so many other things that suggest that they don't see the assembly, the governor still recognizes the assembly as the assembly of Rivers State and for Rivers people. Perhaps he's not too comfortable with the Supreme Court judgment that sacked the assembly that he preferred to work in, the assembly of 3 persons.
Right.
And I can tell you that one of the things that is being bandied today is that the governor wants to hold a discussion with the assembly with a view to agreeing on where the assembly can meet. The court said the assembly can meet anywhere they choose. And the assembly that the governor was dealing with before was not meeting in the River State House of Assembly complex, because that assembly complex had been destroyed hitherto by the same people.
All right. Honorable, I understand some of the points you've raised, but in a situation like this, definitely egos have to be shared. If it's for the good of the people, I mean, we have to lay down ego. And I mean, they had a meeting with the president, President Bola, and everybody had a sit down and they talked at some point. So I imagine you're not ruling out meetings. Don't you think it would have been fair to visit in the first place, in that sense, fulfill all righteousness, act in good faith, to sort of hear him out? I mean, what if that's what the constituents, the people they represent, actually want? I don't think there was that kind of consultation. So in terms of finding a resolution, don't you think we should just find a way to put aside ego and, for the sake of peace, just act in good faith? Wouldn't that have been a fair thing to do?
Ordinarily, if we were talking about the relationship between two young people who are in love, and the need for them to meet and find a way out of a situation that they have, then I would say yes. But we're talking about serious constitutional issues here. We're talking about the relationship between one arm of government and another. We're talking about people who are coming out from a long-drawn legal and otherwise crisis. Now, when the president called for that meeting, the governor agreed that he was going to abide by those resolutions, but he didn't do so. He insisted instead that the matter should go to court and that the court should settle the matter. Now the court has settled the matter. And before today, the assembly had invited the governor to come present the budget. He refused to receive the letter and did not honor that invitation. Now, him asking them to come and telling them that he wants to discuss matters that have already been decided by the court. As far as I'm concerned, anybody who goes into such a discussion will be disobeying the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court did not say, go and have a second look at what we have said you should do. It is for you to do exactly as the Supreme Court has said. See, Rivers State somehow has become known for court matters and decisions. In 2007, the Supreme Court ruled on the 25th of October that Omeya, the then governor, was no longer governor, that Honorable Chibikero Timi should be sworn in as governor. It didn't take 24 hours before he was sworn in as governor. When there was crisis in Bayelsa, after the election of the Leon as governor, a day to his swearing in, there was a Supreme Court judgment that said this man cannot be sworn in for XYZ reasons. That his swearing in ended immediately. His governorship ended immediately, and another person became governor. Now that the Supreme Court has given a judgment in the case of Rivers State, anybody who is dilly-dallying, anybody who is going to sit down to begin to discuss whether or not to do what the Supreme Court has said will have the Nigerian state to contend with. And I think that the assembly members are trying to stay within respect for the Supreme Court, respect for the Constitution of Nigeria, respect for the people of Nigeria and the people of Rivers State in not honoring that invitation.
Well, Honorable, at this point, it's hard to know what peace looks like, or who is fighting for peace, who's fighting for the people, and who's fighting for their personal or political interests. But I guess, as they always say, time will judge. But we have to thank you, Honorable Gift Wolu, former Commissioner of Housing under Governor Fubara, Senior Lecturer at Uniport. Well, we'll stay with this and see how things develop, but thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. God bless.
And just before we go, let's tell you yet again the big news making the rounds. Former governor of Kaduna State and the founding member of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC, Mr. Nasir El-Rufai, is no more a member of the party, the APC. He announced his resignation in a statement which he signed officially earlier on. And in his words, it says, "Today, 10th of March 2025, I have submitted a letter resigning my membership of the APC to my ward in Kaduna, effective immediately." Now, why did he resign? Well, he went all the way back to when the APC had the merger to become the APC since 2013. And he said that he had hoped that his personal values and that of the APC will continue to align up to the time that he chooses to retire from politics. But in his words, he says that development in the last 2 years, which incidentally coincide with the coming of President Bola Tinubu. It says that developments confirm that there is no desire in the party of those who currently control and run the APC to acknowledge, much less address the unhealthy situation of the party, in his words. He said he had raised the concerns private and in public, but now it is time to leave the APC. And where is he headed to? Well, he has joined the Social Democratic Party, the SDP. Clearly, more events will unfold in the course of the day, so stay with Channels Television for all of the latest updates. I'm Kayode Okikolu. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.